This is TWiT.
So, Kerry, one of your headlines is online giveaways, just because Rafflecopter lets you do it doesn't make it legal. And I think you've hit on something that's a pet peeve of mine, that there can be a disconnect between the tools that people crank out because there's a need for them, and we want to automate things. We want to make it easy for people to run their promotion, et cetera. But the lawyers working with the tool makers might not always thoroughly understand the law. Can you tell us exactly what you were getting at there in that piece?
Sure. What happened was I'd presented to a number of blogger groups who were using giveaways routinely to promote their sites and not appreciating the fact that there is a distinction between, say, contests and giveaways versus illegal lotteries. They were just doing things because they had the mechanism to do it with no consideration as to whether or not it was legal. And so what would happen is I would give a presentation and explain the differences and why they mattered and how they could keep themselves safe. And they said, but Rafflecopter lets me do this. Raffle.org lets me do this. You know, what? In other words, it was kind of this paternalistic idea that Rafflecopter cares about you. And I was like, Rafflecopter doesn't care about you. Like, if you dig into, they just don't. If you dig into the terms of service, they make it very clear. You use this at your own risk of liability. You're supposed to know the law where you are. And the law in each state is different. The law in each country is different. So some of these blogs obviously they reach all over the world. But if they don't specify who can enter these contests or giveaways, they're liable for violations of the law potentially in Canada or other countries. Like in Canada, you're not permitted to win anything based on chance. There has to be an element of skill to it. And these guys, they had never even considered that. And there was like a minor freak out. But I think once they understood that just because you've got the mechanism to do something doesn't mean it's legal where you are, they at least understood that maybe they should be thinking about that, which I think was something that they had just completely backburnered. Like, Rafflecopter must have checked this out. It must be okay. Like, somehow they could disable on the back end how you use the tool. Like, oh, you're in Florida, you can't use that kind of giveaway. No. Not only do they not care, they expressly put the liability onto the users.
Yes, it's something people need to be aware of, that just because tools are out there and available and say, hey, here, we're going to run that for you, just use our service. You still need to.
Just because, of course. And just because a certain social network is a great fit for your audience, gives you great reach and exposure, and your contest or giveaway is a success on the basis of it accomplishes whatever business goal you have, it could still be in violation of the terms, even of that social network. And you could lose the benefit that you've gained from spending all these months building up your presence there. So it really is something they should consider a potentially huge risk. So at least I'm happy that some people have seen that article and have come to me after and said, oh, thank you. You just saved me from running what I now know would have been an illegal lottery. I'm like,
right. And Kerry has another great article called How to Keep Your Social Media Contest from Becoming a Trial, which has similar kinds of warnings and considerations in it. The related thing that I've seen in my own practice is services that are out there that attempt to, again, they're sort of contest-oriented services, and they attempt to have you form an enforceable contract with the entrants. But they haven't paid sufficient attention to the law on that front either. So, in some cases, the terms of service aren't, apparent, or something that there are lots of cases out there that say that if they're not right there and the party's not on notice, that you haven't even formed a contract, and their mechanism for forming the contract is not sufficiently rigorous, and certain things are checked by default that really should be checked by the user, and that kind of thing. So people should keep an eye out for those kinds of pitfalls when they're using services to try and run their promotions and contests and things online.
There are things that aren't there are things that aren't even contemplated, not even remotely, by any of these tools or sites. Like some states have bonding requirements if you're going to have a giveaway or even a contest and the prize is over a certain amount in value. You have to register it. You have to insure it. And they have no idea. Or if it's over a certain amount, you have to notify the IRS at the end of the year that the person has won this prize and that they're therefore subject to income tax and all these things that go well beyond even the scope of any contract that some of these tools would purport to create. If they even, let's just say that it was valid, which I don't think in many instances they are, you've got a lot of things that are not covered that would need to be covered.